And then we're going to move on to comparative embryology. In comparative embryology, we're looking at the developmental stages of organisms and noticing, and really we're looking at organisms with a spinal cord, vertebral column, and we're noticing that these developmental stages are very, very similar. Okay, so we learned in embryonic development for humans is that the first 8 weeks is called the embryo, and you go through these phases. The zygote is the first cell, the morula is a group of cells, blastocyst is becoming organized, and a gastrula is when like the internal organs start to form. So there's a series of stages that all of these embryos go through, and it's very, very similar. Now, one of the things that's interesting is that even human embryos or chicken embryos have gill slits during this early embryonic stage. Now, fish have gill slits, and fish have gill slits when they're adults, but during embryonic development, humans and chickens have gill slits too. So it just shows that we're closely related and we share some of those same genes. Now, I do think it's interesting that there's still remnants of gill slits in our genetic pool, and less than 1% of humans actually have what's left over of a gill slit. You can see the blue arrow pointing to that little indentation in the ear, and that's where the gill slits were in embryonic development, and they just didn't close over entirely. Kind of interesting. Okay, and then we'll take a quick peek at comparative embryology here and see if you can tell the difference between those embryos. So those embryos are fish, salamander, tortoise, chicken, rabbit, or human. Can you tell the difference? Nah, not really. Can you tell the difference now? Are they starting to look a little different? Maybe. The first two are definitely looking different than the other four, but I don't know if you have enough information to know what they are. By the time you get further in development, you can actually tell what these organisms are going to be, and they were in the order up here. They were in the same order: fish, salamander, tortoise, chick, rabbit, and human. But by comparing embryology, comparing developmental stages, you can see how closely related organisms are. And then back to the final slide, which is the evidence for evolution. Evidence for evolution comes from all these different fields, and it brings us to the same conclusions. All living organisms have a common ancestor. All living organisms are related. The more similar organisms are, the more closely related they are, and organisms have traits that make them well suited for their environment.